Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Proudfoot podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the new Dungeons and Dragons system that'll be coming out this fall. So let's get into it. First thing I want to say is I will not be the last person you hear talking about this. I think our summer of D&D content is going to be full of people giving their opinions and a lot of negative takes on this new rule set coming out. I see negative takes in three different camps. One being the monetization and the corporate greed of Hasbro and WotC on this. I see negativity in the backwards compatibility and people's unhealthy skepticism of this. And then third, the rebalancing of all the classes and if this is going to quote unquote make the game worse. So let's unpack this in reverse order because I want to save the financial stuff for last. First off, is this new system worse? The answer is wait till we get the book. You can't compare two systems until we have a book to compare against the old book. All we have is what Jeremy Crawford has told us, plus what has been in the Unearthed Arcana playtest, which they've said in the videos multiple times is not everything in the new edition. So there's other stuff in there. Now, based on what that content has shown us, the Unearthed Arcana and the videos from Jeremy Crawford and the D&D YouTube page, I don't think you can say that it's strictly speaking worse. Is it making some classes less powerful? Potentially. Is it also making some classes more powerful? Potentially based off of the descriptions we're getting. But again, like I said at the beginning, we won't know until we have a book to compare against. One thing I like that I've heard in the videos is that all of the classes will be getting their subclass at level 3. I think that's a great standardization to put throughout the game for new players. Old players might have problems with it because of this or that reason, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, if you're introducing this game to a new friend, like they've never played an RPG before, they don't know what stat blocks are, they don't understand rolling to attack, rolling for damage, they don't understand proficiency, advantage, what you can do in the game, explaining all of that and then explaining 12 classes and saying, okay, when you take this class, you get your subclass at level 1. When you take this class, you get your subclass at level 2. If you take this class, you'll have magic at level 1, but if you take this class, you won't have magic until level 2. All of that is just extra complexity that sure you can say makes sense for the lore of that class or the theme of it or the power balance, but lore can always be manipulated by the players or the DM to fit whatever you need. And two, this whole game was designed by a team of hundreds of people worked on for multiple years to rebalance it based off 10 years of feedback. One person's criticisms is probably not more insightful than the collective work of dedicated, passionate people over multiple years. So if you're seeing people be cynical about this new system that, again, they probably didn't have a hand in making or have read yet, take it with a grain of salt if they're being negative, because I just want you to know there's lots of people out there that do not have as loud of a voice or reach that are excited about this system. And maybe you are too, but you're seeing all this negativity out there. And now you don't know what to think because these people that you watch content from on the internet have this negative opinion of it and they do this for a living. So maybe they know something you don't. I'm telling you that most likely they don't know any more than you do. They're getting all their information from the same publicly available places. So watch the D&D release videos is what I would say to everyone. Don't just watch some secondary creator like me give their opinion on what those actually mean for the game. It's nice supplementary. I've been watching lots of creators that I enjoy and look up to talk about breakdowns of the system, listen to their takes on it. And for the large part, there's a lot of healthy reservation out there. I'm not saying everyone who's making content is being really negative, but I do see a lot of people trying to hit that algorithm in a certain way by being very negative about it because, as we all know, negativity drives clicks on these platforms, unfortunately. So that is the rebalancing of it and the new rules and if they're worse or better. We won't know until we see the books. I have a lot of optimism that this is going to be a lot of fun for us to play and find out the new synergies that are available to us, because you can look at it as a different game, but we are told it's supposed to be backwards compatible, and there's healthy skepticism about this. So this brings me to the second point I want to talk about. Is this D&D 6? Is this D&D 5.5? Or is this just some perfect continuation of 5e. We, again, won't know the answer till we have the book, but based off what they're telling us, I think you would be able to play with a 2014 character and a 2024 character in a same campaign, and no one would really feel less or more powerful. Where things become a little bit convoluted for me is that we know from the crafting video they have new descriptions for all the items and stuff, so that make me think if you were playing, you'd probably want the DM to be using the 2024 items. So I think there's going to be some things where it's going to make sense that everyone use those rules, and other things where only some players have to use those rules. For instance, if someone made a 2014 character, I think that's still fine playing with a 2024 character. The question I have is how that's going to work for spells, especially spells that have been modified. I think that's a question for DMs to grapple with, and I'm really hoping there is some advice in the new Dungeon Master Guide on how to integrate the two systems, because I have been spending a lot of the last week thinking about how that would look in a transitional period from one of my old campaigns, where we're going to be coming back to it at the end of the summer. Quick shameless plug, we're going to be releasing a D&D podcast in the fall called As Below, So Above. We're currently filming that right now, so that's why I've paused my private campaign, but I'm going to be going back to that. When I do, I want to use these new rules. I want to try out D&D 2024. I want to get my feet wet with it. I'm getting really excited with all the videos coming out, as I'm sure a lot of you are too, and it seems like it's going to be fun. So the big open question is, how well is this going to integrate? When it first started coming out, I was thinking that, yeah, this feels like D&D 5.5, but I think the backwards compatibility will be there. There's something to be said for hundreds of passionate people working on a project for multiple years. When they say it's going to be backwards compatible, I want to believe that they didn't just say that as a empty promise. I think that the creators, because a lot of the creators who were head directors on this edition were also on 2014. They were there for the 10 years of feedback they got from players. So I have too much good faith in the creators of the game that, there's a lot of people who will come in with the negativity of, oh, Hasbro's trying to gouge everyone for as much money as they can. And that's probably true. Hasbro is one of the biggest game companies in the world. They produce pretty much every game we know of, every one of the big games. They own all of Wizards of the Coast, so any Wizards of the Coast product is Hasbro. So yeah, they're probably marketing it to make as much money as they can, but the creators of the game, I really don't think that's their motivation. I think the people that are making the game, like the directors of D&D, like Jeremy Crawford, like the art directors, the other people involved in the rules, I don't know all their names off the top of my head. I'm not that nerdy. I know they're written in the foreword of all these books that I have over here, but I'm not gonna look them up right now. Those people, I think, are really concerned about making D&D the best game they can, making the rules and the experience for everyone at the table as fun as they can. So let's not chomp at the bit to criticize everything about this new system as it's rolled out in little tiny steps. Let's see what's going on and read the documents when they come out. One thing I've seen that is slightly negative that I will partially agree with is I don't think you need to pre-order this. I don't want to spend $200 after tax on 3 books and 3 digital books, especially when I've picked up role-playing games in the past. I've been able to find free PDFs or cheap PDFs online, so I wouldn't be giving Wizards all my money just yet. I would hold off until you can see the book and then decide if you want to get it. I think that's not negative at all. I think that's pretty fair criticism. So just to kind of sum up this rambling, I didn't write anything down, just kind of like recording this because I've seen lots of stuff out there, like I said, that's negative, and I just wanted to bring a little bit of positive energy. This looks like it'll be really fun for new players. I think there's a lot of excitement in a new system, especially for new players. Like, one of the things that Chris said in the introduction video was that they focused on streamlining the character creation process, and anyone who's made a 5th edition D&D character knows that it's not as straightforward as it's been in previous editions. It's not as straightforward as other systems entirely, and it can be a little bit cumbersome and often a big barrier to entry for new players, which is one of the things that I struggle with when trying to get new players into the game, is trying to explain to them how to make a character, because you kind of have to explain everything all at once. So I'm really excited to see what they did for streamlining that. They have a rules glossary they talked about. I love the idea of that. I love that the things that were important to the creators were things that I wanted out of the new D&D edition, which was better readability, better reference for rules, and a streamlined character creation process. I think the rebalancing of classes is fine, and we're going to learn how fine it is when we're actually playing the game in a few months. So let's not chomp at the bit to judge, because remember, when all these videos were coming out, I was thinking that how backwards compatible is it going to be? And now that I've had a few weeks to think about it, I've watched more of the classes coming out, heard what they've talked about in regards to how the classes have changed. I think you can integrate this with 2014. And there's a lot of people who are being sinister about it in their single person analysis, but we have to remember something. This is a game made by hundreds of people at a company that you may or may not agree with morally, but the people that are working there, the people that are still working there, I know there's the layoffs, and I don't want to get into the scandals that other people on YouTube talk about, but the people who are there making the game care about that. They're doing that because they want to do that work, that something that means something to them. I know I would kill to have a job where I get to make rules for a role-playing game. That sounds like a dream job to me. So I think the people there are taking this quite seriously. And when they say it's going to be backwards compatible, these people have been working on it for years. They worked on 5th edition the first time. They know this game very well. There's many people working collectively to make this backwards compatible. I want to believe it's for the benefit of the players. I know there's more cynical people out there who say that it's just so Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro can rake in as much money as possible from people. I doubt that's the only motivator. It might be part of the motivator. They might have got a message from up top in corporate Hasbro saying, hey, you need to make this backwards compatible because we're making so much money off of the little purchases in D&D Beyond, and people are still buying those books. We don't want them to stop buying those adventures. Sure, that could have been part of it, but I also think the creators thought there was some merit into having this flow from old to new. And until we play it and see how well or not well it works, it's really unbecoming to judge the work of all these creatives and saying they lied to us when you don't even know because you haven't even read the books. The book's not even out yet. All we have is their words. So yeah, this game's gonna be fun. I am excited for it to come out. I hope all the negativity doesn't stop you from also trying it. I think it's going to be really good for new players. And when it does come out, I'll probably do a whole series explaining the book like I did explaining the 2014 book. So that'll be a lot of fun. Anyway, that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment down below. If you disagree with my takes and think everyone's right to be negative, let me know. I'd love to hear people's opinions. If you enjoy the Eddie Proudfoot podcast, please give us a follow on Instagram, Spotify, or TikTok. And as always, may the gods have mercy on your soul.